The ability to build strong relationships and positively influence others is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop. Success in both personal and professional life depends not only on intelligence, experience, or hard work but also on the ability to interact effectively with people. Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People remains one of the most influential books on communication, persuasion, and human relations, offering timeless principles for winning people over, resolving conflicts, and creating meaningful connections. The principles in this book are not about manipulation but about genuinely understanding people, making them feel valued, and fostering mutual respect. Those who master these skills find themselves welcomed into more opportunities, trusted by others, and able to inspire cooperation in almost any situation. Point 1 of the fundamental lessons of human interaction is that people are primarily motivated by their own desires, needs, and emotions. Most individuals spend the majority of their time thinking about themselves, their problems, and their ambitions. Understanding this basic truth makes it easier to connect with others. Instead of focusing on what one wants to say or achieve, shifting attention to what matters to the other person creates an instant bond. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel important, heard, and respected. A crucial mistake many people make in conversations is immediately contradicting or criticizing others. Even when someone is factually incorrect, openly challenging them often triggers defensiveness and resistance. Instead, a more effective approach is to find common ground, acknowledge their perspective, and gently guide them toward a new way of thinking. Asking questions rather than making direct statements allows the other person to reach conclusions on their own, which makes them more likely to accept new ideas. Another powerful principle in building relationships is the genuine expression of appreciation. People thrive on recognition and validation, yet most individuals go through life receiving little acknowledgement for their efforts. A simple compliment, a word of encouragement, or a sincere expression of gratitude can have a profound impact. However, appreciation must always be authentic. People can easily detect insincerity, and empty flattery does more harm than good. Instead of general praise, recognizing specific actions or qualities in someone makes the compliment feel meaningful. Saying, "I admire how much effort you put into organizing that event," or "your ability to explain complex ideas so clearly is impressive," feels far more impactful than a generic "good job." The way people perceive us is largely shaped by our attitude and approach. Those who radiate warmth, positivity, and enthusiasm naturally attract others. Smiling, maintaining eye contact, and showing genuine interest in conversations create an inviting presence. Enthusiasm is contagious, and people enjoy being around those who uplift their mood. Even in challenging situations, maintaining a calm and composed demeanor inspires confidence and encourages cooperation. Listening is one of the most underrated yet powerful skills in communication. Most people do not truly listen, they simply wait for their turn to speak. However, those who practice active listening by fully focusing on the speaker, acknowledging their words, and responding thoughtfully create stronger connections. Asking follow-up questions and showing curiosity about the other person's thoughts and experiences deepens relationships. A good listener makes others feel valued and understood, which in turn makes them more open and receptive. Understanding the importance of people's names is another simple yet effective way to make a lasting impression. A person's name is the sweetest sound to their ears, as it represents their identity. Remembering and using someone's name in conversation creates a sense of familiarity and respect. However, this should be done naturally. Forcing a name into conversation too often can feel artificial. The key is to make an effort to remember names and use them at appropriate moments to reinforce connection. In both personal and professional life, criticism is often necessary, but the way it is delivered determines whether it will be received positively or lead to resentment. The most effective way to address mistakes or areas for improvement is through constructive feedback. Instead of pointing out faults directly, a more effective method is to begin with praise and recognition of the person's strengths before suggesting improvements. Framing criticism in a way that highlights potential rather than failure makes the person more receptive. Another key principle in influencing others is understanding that people rarely act against their own interests. Instead of trying to force compliance, successful communicators find ways to align their goals with the other person's motivations. Presenting ideas in a way that highlights benefits to the other person increases the likelihood of agreement. Rather than demanding a change, showing how the change serves their interests creates a sense of collaboration rather than resistance. When dealing with disagreements or potential conflicts, avoiding arguments is often the best approach. Arguments rarely lead to true agreement because when people feel attacked, they become defensive and more entrenched in their views. A more effective approach is to acknowledge the other person's perspective, show empathy, and find areas of agreement before gently presenting an alternative viewpoint. Asking questions like, "What led you to that conclusion?" or "Have you considered this perspective?" keeps the conversation open rather than combative. Point one of the greatest strengths of influential people is their ability to inspire enthusiasm and excitement in others. Whether leading a team, motivating a friend, or persuading someone to take action, enthusiasm plays a crucial role in getting people on board. Passion is compelling. When someone speaks with genuine excitement and belief in an idea, others naturally become more interested. However, enthusiasm must be balanced with credibility. Speaking with confidence, backing up claims with logic or evidence, and demonstrating a sincere belief in what one is saying builds trust. Developing social ease and confidence takes practice. Many people feel nervous in social situations because they are overly focused on how they are perceived. The best way to overcome this is by shifting attention outward, focusing on making the other person comfortable, asking about their interests, and actively listening. With time and experience, social interactions become more natural and enjoyable. Ultimately, winning friends and influencing people is not about manipulation but about building genuine, positive relationships. The principles in this book emphasize authenticity, respect, and an understanding of human nature. By applying these techniques consistently, anyone can become more persuasive, likable, and effective in their interactions. The ability to navigate conversations, build rapport, and inspire others is a skill that benefits every aspect of life. Building strong relationships starts with genuine interest in others. People are inherently focused on their own lives, struggles, and successes. By showing sincere curiosity about their stories, challenges, and aspirations, one can foster deeper connections. This genuine interest must be reflected in both words and actions. Simple acts like remembering small details from previous conversations, asking thoughtful questions, or following up on a concern previously mentioned show that one truly cares. People naturally gravitate towards those who make them feel important and valued, which forms the foundation of meaningful relationships. Expressing appreciation is another powerful tool in connecting with others. Many go through life feeling unnoticed or underappreciated, so a heartfelt acknowledgement can have a profound impact. Compliments should always be specific and genuine, focusing on particular actions or qualities rather than generic praise. This specificity makes the appreciation feel personalized and sincere. For example, instead of saying, "You're a good leader," a more meaningful statement would be, "I admire how you handled that challenging situation with such composure and empathy." This kind of recognition not only boosts morale but also reinforces positive behaviors. The importance of listening cannot be overstated. In a world where people are often preoccupied with their own thoughts and distractions, active listening becomes a rare and valuable skill. Active listening involves not just hearing the words spoken but also understanding the emotions and intentions behind them. It requires full attention, without interruptions or distractions. mirroring the speaker's sentiments, nodding in agreement, and providing feedback such as, "That must have been difficult for you," or "I can see why you feel that way," validates their experiences and strengthens rapport. The ability to avoid arguments and resolve disagreements amicably is essential in maintaining positive relationships. Engaging in arguments often leads to defensiveness and stubbornness, making it difficult for either party to see the other's perspective. Instead of arguing, it is more effective to seek common ground, acknowledge the validity of the other person's viewpoint, and steer the conversation towards mutual understanding. Questions like, "What makes you feel that way?" or "How can we find a solution that works for both of us?" encourage collaboration rather than confrontation. One of the most effective ways to influence others is by making them feel that the idea is their own. People are more likely to embrace a concept when they believe they have contributed to its formation. By asking guiding questions and encouraging others to share their thoughts, one can lead them toward a desired conclusion without direct persuasion. This approach fosters a sense of ownership and commitment, making the other person more invested in the outcome. The art of persuasion is rooted in understanding human motivations. Every individual has unique desires, fears, and aspirations that drive their decisions. Effective communicators identify these underlying motivations and frame their requests or suggestions in a way that aligns with the other person's interests. By highlighting the benefits and minimizing the drawbacks, they make their proposals more appealing. Phrasing requests in terms of how they will positively impact the other person creates a win-win scenario that is difficult to resist. Creating a favorable first impression is crucial, as people often form judgments within seconds of meeting someone. A warm smile, firm handshake, and attentive posture convey confidence and approachability. Using the other person's name early in the conversation adds a personal touch and fosters familiarity. Additionally, dressing appropriately for the setting, maintaining good hygiene, and presenting oneself with poise contribute to a positive initial impression. First impressions are not only visual but also vocal. Speaking clearly, avoiding filler words, and using a friendly tone make the interaction more engaging and pleasant. Humility and a willingness to admit mistakes are vital in maintaining respect and credibility. When individuals are willing to acknowledge their errors and take responsibility, it humanizes them and fosters trust. People appreciate honesty and are more forgiving when they see that someone is genuinely remorseful. Phrases like, "I was wrong about that, and I appreciate you bringing it to my attention," or "I made a mistake, and I'm committed to doing better," demonstrate accountability without diminishing one's authority or competence. Encouraging others to talk about themselves is another effective technique for building rapport. People enjoy sharing their stories, experiences, and opinions. By asking open-ended questions and showing genuine curiosity, one can learn more about the other person while making them feel valued. Questions like, "What inspired you to pursue this career?" or "How did you overcome that challenge?" open the door for deeper conversations. This not only builds rapport but also provides valuable insights into the other person's character and values. The strategic use of empathy enhances communication and strengthens relationships. Empathy involves putting oneself in another's shoes and understanding their feelings and perspectives. When people feel understood, they are more likely to open up and collaborate. Simple statements like, "I can't imagine how challenging that must have been for you," or "It sounds like you were really frustrated by that situation," show empathy and validate the other person's experiences. This fosters a deeper sense of connection and trust, offering constructive feedback in a way that encourages growth rather than defensiveness is another important skill. Instead of focusing on what someone did wrong, effective feedback highlights the potential for improvement and the positive impact of making changes. Framing feedback with phrases like, "I think you did well in this area, and improving this aspect could make it even better," or "Your approach was interesting, have you considered trying this alternative?" makes the conversation more productive and less confrontational. Expressing enthusiasm and optimism can also be incredibly persuasive. People are naturally drawn to those who exude positive energy and confidence. When presenting ideas or solutions, conveying excitement and belief in their potential encourages others to share that enthusiasm. Optimism not only makes one more likable but also inspires others to take action. However, this enthusiasm should be balanced with realism to maintain credibility. Being patient and giving others the time and space to express themselves fully is another key component of effective communication. Interrupting or rushing someone can create frustration and hinder open dialogue. Allowing pauses, waiting for the other person to finish speaking, and responding thoughtfully demonstrate respect and consideration. Patience also shows that one values the other person's input and is willing to engage in a meaningful exchange. Ultimately, winning friends and influencing people is about creating genuine connections based on mutual respect, understanding, and empathy. It is not about manipulation or self-serving tactics but about fostering positive, lasting relationships. By consistently applying these principles, anyone can enhance their social interactions, build stronger networks, and achieve greater personal and professional success. The key to building lasting relationships lies in sincerity and authenticity. People are naturally drawn to those who show genuine interest in them rather than those who seek only personal gain. While many attempt to impress others by talking about their own achievements, the most effective way to leave a lasting impression is to focus on making the other person feel valued. This is not about flattery or manipulation but about recognizing and appreciating the qualities that make each individual unique. When people feel genuinely seen and understood, they develop a deep sense of trust and appreciation for the person who provides that experience. One of the most common mistakes in communication is the tendency to criticize, condemn, or complain. When people are confronted with harsh words or judgment, their natural response is to become defensive rather than receptive. Criticism often wounds a person's pride and dignity, leading to resentment rather than improvement. A more effective approach is to focus on positive reinforcement, highlighting strengths and offering constructive suggestions rather than pointing out flaws. If correction is necessary, it should be done gently and with empathy, ensuring that the person receiving it does not feel attacked or belittled. Another crucial principle in winning friends and influencing people is the ability to make others feel important. Every person, regardless of their status or achievements, desires recognition and appreciation. Acknowledging someone's contributions, respecting their opinions, and showing gratitude for their efforts create a sense of validation. However, this recognition must be sincere. Empty compliments or insincere praise can often be detected and may have the opposite effect. The key is to notice and appreciate real qualities in people, whether it is their hard work, creativity, kindness, or dedication. When dealing with difficult individuals, understanding human nature is essential. People rarely see themselves as wrong, and even when they make mistakes, they often justify their actions in their own minds. Instead of confronting them aggressively or arguing, a more effective strategy is to approach the conversation with empathy and a willingness to see their perspective. Asking questions like, "Can you help me understand why you feel this way?" or "What do you think would be the best solution?" encourages cooperation rather than resistance. People are far more likely to change their behavior when they feel understood rather than attacked. The ability to inspire enthusiasm in others is another powerful tool for influence. People are more likely to be engaged and motivated when they feel excited about an idea, a project, or a goal. Enthusiasm is contagious, and those who can communicate their passion effectively will naturally inspire others. This applies to leadership, sales, friendships, and even everyday conversations. When discussing a topic, speaking with energy, conviction, and genuine excitement makes the message more compelling. However, this enthusiasm must be balanced with sincerity. Forcing excitement or exaggerating claims can come across as inauthentic and may reduce credibility. A crucial aspect of effective communication is learning how to disagree without being disagreeable. Disagreements are inevitable, but how they are handled determines whether they strengthen or weaken a relationship. Instead of bluntly stating that someone is wrong, it is often more productive to find areas of agreement first. Saying, "I see your point, and I can understand why you feel that way," before presenting an alternative viewpoint helps keep the conversation open and constructive. Additionally, acknowledging one's own mistakes and admitting when one is wrong can significantly enhance credibility and respect. People admire those who have the humility to correct themselves rather than stubbornly defending a mistaken position. Encouraging people to take ownership of their decisions is another effective technique for influence. When individuals feel that an idea is their own, they are far more likely to support and act on it. Instead of dictating instructions, asking for input and guiding others to come to conclusions on their own fosters cooperation. For example, rather than saying, "You should do it this way," asking, "What do you think would be the best approach?" encourages critical thinking and creates a sense of involvement. Mastering the art of conversation requires understanding that people enjoy talking about themselves and their interests. By asking thoughtful questions and showing a genuine desire to learn more about the other person, conversations become more engaging and enjoyable. People remember those who make them feel heard, so being an attentive listener creates a lasting positive impression. Simple questions like, "What's something you're passionate about?" or "How did you get started in your field?" open the door for meaningful discussions. The way requests are framed can significantly impact their success. People are more likely to respond positively when they feel that complying with a request is their own choice rather than an obligation. Instead of saying, "You need to do this," a more persuasive approach is to frame it as a benefit. "If we do it this way, it will make things much easier for everyone." By aligning requests with the other person's interests or values, they become more compelling and difficult to refuse. Creating goodwill in relationships involves remembering and acknowledging the small details that matter to others. Remembering birthdays, following up on important events in their lives, and expressing appreciation for past kindnesses all contribute to stronger, more positive connections. These small gestures demonstrate that a relationship is valued, and they help to build lasting goodwill. One of the most effective ways to gain influence is to appeal to people's sense of self-worth. Most individuals view themselves as good, intelligent, and capable, and they respond positively when others reinforce this self-image. By expressing confidence in someone's abilities and encouraging them to see themselves in a positive light, they become more motivated to live up to that perception. Saying things like, "I know you're someone who always finds a way to overcome challenges," can inspire a person to act in alignment with that belief. In both personal and professional settings, creating an environment of trust and mutual respect is essential. Trust is built through consistency, honesty, and integrity. People are more likely to listen to and be influenced by those they trust. Keeping promises, being reliable, and treating others with fairness all contribute to building a reputation as someone who can be depended upon. Ultimately, the principles of winning friends and influencing people revolve around treating others with kindness, respect, and understanding. By genuinely valuing people, seeking to understand them, and making them feel important, stronger and more meaningful relationships are formed. The ability to positively influence others is not about manipulation but about creating mutual benefit and cooperation. When people feel respected, appreciated, and heard, they naturally gravitate toward those who provide that experience. One of the key principles in maintaining positive relationships is to give others a sense of importance. While this concept has been mentioned throughout the book, it is worth emphasizing again because it resonates deeply with human nature. People desire recognition not out of vanity but because it acknowledges their efforts, thoughts, and contributions. Therefore, offering sincere appreciation for someone's achievements, no matter how small, enhances the emotional connection and strengthens the bond between individuals. Recognizing the efforts of others creates a mutual understanding and opens the door to deeper conversations and cooperation. However, the acknowledgement should not be given lightly or in a manipulative manner. It should be genuine and heartfelt, focusing on the individual's qualities or actions that stand out. Flattery, when used excessively or disingenuously, can come across as insincere and may even alienate the recipient. Instead, compliments should be specific, detailed, and reflect a true understanding of the person's strengths and contributions. For instance, saying, "I really admire how you've been so dedicated to improving the team's performance, your insights have been invaluable," is much more meaningful than a simple "you're doing a great job." This specificity makes the recognition feel authentic and personal. It's also important to avoid making others feel inferior or criticized, especially in situations where mistakes or shortcomings are evident. When addressing issues or areas of improvement, it's far more effective to approach the conversation with understanding, patience, and encouragement. People tend to resist criticism, especially if it feels like a personal attack. Instead of criticizing, encourage them to improve by highlighting their potential and offering constructive suggestions. For example, instead of saying, "You didn't handle that well," one could say, "You've done great work in the past, and I think with a few adjustments, this situation could have been handled even better." What do you think? Another important aspect of influencing others is to make others feel involved and invested in ideas or decisions. When people have a stake in an outcome, whether it's a project, a goal, or an idea, they are more likely to work towards it enthusiastically and with commitment. One way to do this is by encouraging them to come up with solutions or alternatives rather than dictating instructions. Asking questions like, "What do you think would be the best approach?" or "How would you handle this situation?" allows the other person to feel empowered and valued, making them more likely to support the initiative. If the situation calls for change or new initiatives, it's often helpful to frame them in a way that aligns with the interests and goals of those involved. By explaining how the changes will benefit them or contribute to a greater good, individuals are more likely to embrace the changes. Moreover, when people are able to see the benefits for themselves, the resistance to change decreases. In addition to making people feel important, another way to influence others is through offering praise and encouragement, especially in challenging times. People often face difficult situations and they might be struggling with self-doubt or frustration. Offering timely and sincere words of encouragement can be transformative. It can lift someone's spirits and give them the motivation they need to keep pushing forward. By providing support, one shows that they believe in the other person's abilities and that they are worthy of success. One common challenge many face in their relationships with others is learning to handle disagreements or conflicts. As much as we try to avoid confrontation, it is inevitable at times. However, conflict doesn't have to mean hostility or a breakdown in relationships. In fact, disagreements can be opportunities to strengthen bonds if handled with care. Instead of arguing or defending one's point aggressively, it is far more effective to approach the situation with empathy and a willingness to understand the other person's perspective. This approach helps avoid escalation and fosters an environment of cooperation. When a person's view differs from your own, it's crucial to avoid outright dismissing their perspective. Instead, consider expressing your disagreement in a way that invites dialogue. Phrases like, "I see where you're coming from, and I think I understand why you feel that way," allow for a more productive exchange of ideas. Acknowledging that their viewpoint has validity does not mean conceding the argument but rather opening the door to finding common ground. Furthermore, even in situations where you may feel strongly about your stance, showing respect for the other person's beliefs is essential. This not only maintains the relationship but also demonstrates emotional intelligence and maturity. People are more likely to respond positively when they feel respected, even in disagreement, rather than when they feel that their beliefs are being challenged or discredited. When dealing with individuals in positions of power or authority, it is important to remember that they, too, seek recognition and appreciation. Everyone, regardless of their title or status, desires to feel valued. By acknowledging the efforts and contributions of authority figures, without overdoing it, one creates a more collaborative and supportive relationship. Instead of criticizing or pointing out their shortcomings, it's far more effective to highlight the positive aspects of their leadership or actions. This fosters a sense of mutual respect and often leads to more cooperative interactions. Finally, a key aspect of influencing others is the ability to see things from their perspective. When we understand what motivates people, we can communicate in ways that resonate with them. Whether it's recognizing their needs, desires, or fears, understanding human nature allows for more effective communication. Rather than focusing solely on one's own goals or agenda, take the time to consider how the other person might be feeling. This creates a deeper emotional connection, making them more likely to support your ideas and collaborate with you. By practicing these principles consistently, one can improve their social interactions and influence those around them in positive ways. True influence is not about manipulation, but about creating relationships based on mutual trust, respect, and understanding. Through sincerity, empathy, and genuine interest in others, anyone can win friends and influence people for the better.